What's happening, hardscapers? This is the How to Hardscape podcast, where we talk to you about how you can start and grow your hardscaping business. And today we have our fourth I Am a Hardscaper roundtable with three returning guests. We've got Josh Sutton of Sutton Outdoor on Instagram. He is at Sutton Outdoor LLC. Josh, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And we've got Evan of Pride Hardscape on Instagram. He is at Pride_Hardscape. Evan, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Michael.
And we've got Craig Scheller of Scheller Outdoor Living on Instagram, at Scheller Outdoor Living, and at Craig Scheller Music. Craig, thank you so much.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me back.
Absolutely. It's a privilege to have you guys back here. We had three really great conversations, and I went back today and I listened to each three of them, and I'm excited for this one. So it is January 1st. It is the new year, 2021. 2020 is in our rear view now, so it's time to look ahead. And my very first question to the three of you is, what's in the future of your businesses in 2021? What are some goals you're setting, things that you're going to overhaul in your business? Let's start things off with what is going to change in your business in 2021. And I'm going to open this up to whoever wants to take it right off the bat here. Anybody want to kind of roll with this one?
I'll go. Whatever. I guess I'm the youngest. We'll go first.
Awesome, Evan.
So one thing we are doing, which we talked about last time, is anybody that calls now for an estimate, we are charging for consultations. I'm a little nervous about it, but that's one thing that we switched this year is we're going to start charging for every consultation. Now, if it's a returning client, I probably won't charge them for the consultation fee because we've done work for them before. But yeah, that's going to be probably the biggest change for us. Then also, like Craig, we are really pushing to get into pools. It rains a lot in Oregon, but there's no one within 150 to 200 miles that installs pools around like a circle around me. So we have a lot of Californians moving here, and we're really going to try to push pool designs and pool installs and try to start a crew. That's my goal, is by June to have a pool installation crew. We've given a few estimates, but we've got a couple kind of leaning toward doing it, but it's really hard to sell a $50,000 pool when you've never installed one.
I can relate.
Yeah. So the really thing is, but they got to look at my work and they had to have confidence in me because our work's getting better and better. They know we can do excavation work. We have all the equipment. So it's just going to take that time. So those are our two huge things we're going to do is consultation fees. Definitely really nervous about it, but also you got to just go at it and see what happens. So, and then pools, crossing my fingers, we get one in the books, and maybe it's a good friend we start out with and we can get more from there.
Amazing. Craig, piggybacking on that one, talking about pools, what's going to change in your business in 2021?
Well, we do have a pool install coming up in February, so that's definitely on the horizon and something we haven't done yet. So we're looking forward to that. And I think once we get that done, it'll be easier to show and sell, pools in the future. And I'm going to really start pushing some advertising for those as well, because we do have some openings in the summer. But I think since I kind of just got back in August, I've spent the last few months kind of working on getting my equipment built up and getting stuff in place for employees. So I'm going to do a slow search for an employee. So I'm not quite ready yet, but we have some big projects already booked for the year, which I'm kind of surprised with, for where I've kind of come from and started. So I am going to need some help, possibly. So I'm going to try to find the right person, or if it takes me a few people to get that one person, like it seems to do, I'll work slowly to do that so I can get the right person in place, and then try to build off of that going forward through the year.
Amazing. And Josh, going over to you, what's changing?
Oh, well, we are fortunate to have a pretty booked up schedule. So we're looking to hire probably 4 more guys. Always been my brother and I, and then we tend to rotate between guys, but we're hitting the new construction pretty hard as well. We've got a builder that's building $600,000 to $1.5 million homes. So kind of gets our foot in the door to sell the backyards and added on patios after they're moved in, So we are going to hit those a little harder this year. And then I'm just thinking about the things I do poorly, kind of looking at the whole experience through my customer's eyes. And I've kind of gotten lazy with the communication, honestly. I'm trying to improve that. I just want to deliver knock your socks off service and keep them updated as the schedule changes and as things change on the job. I just want to be in good communication with them. And then our follow-up process probably isn't the great. Just call and check in to see how a project's doing before, a patio has a little dip or anything. I can catch it early and kind of give them that assurance that we've got their back. And I'm trying to charge a higher premium for our work we do. So I want to back that up with the quality of service we have as well. So just kind of not necessarily focusing on growing revenue, but I want to increase our profit margins and then just really focus in on the small business we have and be the best we can be in the area and hopefully be that company that others look up to and try to be like, even though we're smaller. So that's my big goal, is just focusing on the existing company and honing it in to make it even better.
Mm-hmm. And when it comes to raising your rates or, just trying to add additional, whatever it is, services to earn that extra revenue, talking about value add, this came up, I know, in Evan's conversation previously, talking about designs and lights and how you add lights to a project in order just to get them on there to make the place look better. And you'll do it just for the cost of materials in some cases to give that value add. I'm a big proponent of this, especially when you're young in the company and you want to build up a portfolio. It's a perfect thing to do, whether it's a free 3D design starting off, whether it is lights that you're adding in there just to get them on there because they make such a big difference. And that quality of service change, like you said there, Josh, why go with Sutton Outdoor? Why go with Pride Hardscape? Why go with Scheller Outdoor Living? What is this quality of service? What is this value add that you guys are offering? Like, why would they just not go with, somebody else? How do you guys distinguish yourselves in your business? And what do you look for in the future to be able to distinguish yourselves in comparison to the competition, to say, hey, this is Sutton Outdoor, this is Pride Hardscape, this is Scheller Outdoor Living, this is what we're doing that's different, this is why you should go with us? Josh, what is that?
I think it's the level of trust we build in the initial relationship. When we go to that first meeting, we really get to know the clients on a deeper level. We get to know about their family, their jobs, kind of learn about things they're struggling with in life. We're not just going right to selling them on a hardscape. We're kind of becoming friends with them. A lot of times when we leave, they say, wow, I feel like you guys have become family. Some of the jobs go on 3 or 4 weeks or longer, and they see us every day, and we see their kids come home from school or they come home stressed out from work, and we kind of get to talk to them kind of through some of those situations. It's not just all about the hardscape, but on that side, I mean, we're doing things according to industry standards. We're not taking shortcuts. They can see the process. We're pretty open on Instagram as well. A lot of them follow us through the stories and see that. And I'd like to do more of that as well. But just creating that level of trust, I think, is what separates us, following through on what we say we're going to do, being there when we say we're going to be there, not switching out materials for something cheaper, or using a cheaper glue or less base rock, or skipping the geo grids or any of that. We're going to be there. We're going to have quality equipment. We're going to have our uniforms on. If it's at least a t-shirt and a hat, we're not going to be cussing and smoking on the job. We're just going to try to represent ourselves in a professional manner. I have several certifications. I don't have a lot of people ask for those, but they're there if they do. If they want to browse through my website, it's kind of something else that kind of says, wow, this guy's dedicated to the industry. I have a 4-year degree in landscape horticulture, so that kind of backs up our level of knowledge when I'm out looking at plants or a drainage situation. I can kind of apply that education I've learned, and it's just I think just doing what you say you're going to do and calling people back, and that just builds that trust as you go, and then they become reoccurring clients, they call us back year after year for more work, and then they tell all their friends and family. So I think it's just the way to go.
And then Evan, yourself, what is that differentiator in your business? I know we talked about it a bit in the previous interview, but what are you, I guess, trying to build towards? What are you offering this year? What is the change in the quality of service that you're offering?
Honestly, the quality and the service we're offering, I'm not going to change it. I'm 35. I get estimates out within 7 to 10 days in a hand sketch and a design. I am very eager. I want to be the top 3, if not top company where I'm at. So if I have to, do a little bit of low voltage lighting for free to sell them on $2 or $3 grand of low voltage lighting, that nighttime photo to me is worth it. I mean, I can just say the Instagram is great. As soon as I give an estimate, that customer starts an account up. They follow me the next day. So my stories, Instagram, like I said, has been huge for me. I mean, we just hit 3,000 followers today. My goal was 1,000 by the end of the year. So it's doing the process. But my crew right now, I have to say, is they're unbelievable right now. Knock on wood, we went through all their pay rates, and everybody's happy. Everybody's good to go for a few years. And I really hope we can stay together, because we have really a good thing going right now. We're all young and eager, and I'm lucky to be able to have all the equipment we have, and that really showing up to those job sites with a clean truck, clean equipment, outfits, hats, everybody's matching. The customer feels comfortable talking not just to me, talking to my foreman, my workers that are running wheelbarrows sometimes, they're in the trenches. And that to me, like when I come out there and a customer's talking to one of my guys, just talking to him, I just walk by them, like they're having a conversation with a normal person. And so it's really nice. We got a really good clientele right now. And the Google reviews, all that, just push. I feel like social media right now, everybody's stuck at home, guys. Like we're the only ones that are really getting to go out and work, and people are kind of living wanted to be like, wow, we want to go do that, but we can't do it because we're stuck here. So even those dye projects, it's pretty cool. I'm very blessed right now to be where we're at, and I just want to make sure we give the best service that we can, and we'll go from there. But really, it's that kind of that communication too, Josh. That's a huge thing with me. Is I don't know what I just did.
You're still here. I can see it.
I don't know, but can't see you guys. But I don't know what. But the communication. That's huge, guys. Like I literally tell people that what day we're going to be there, if it's going to change, if material is going to change. But that communication to me, I feel like is the biggest part with customers.
You brought up something there that was really interesting that I hadn't really thought about. And it's more of a branding play, is, dressing up your crew with your company image, because it adds a comfortability factor to a customer being able to speak to that person, as opposed to them being dressed in anything, right? I hadn't really, put those two things together, that it really does add that comfortability factor. If a customer steps outside, they see somebody on their property, they're dressed in Pride Hardscape clothing, there's a comfortability factor in them going up to them and speaking with them, because they are the company. They know that they're there to work with them. That's really interesting. That's really that caught my ear a little bit, and we'll get to that. That's going to come up. But Craig, yourself, being a new company, and I know you've been in the industry for a long time, but just starting off again, what are those things that you're doing to differentiate yourself in your market?
Well, I'll piggyback off the other two and say that communication is probably the most important thing. And I sometimes feel like I over communicate, which I don't think you can. Maybe you can, but I think that what I try to do is set expectations up front, because I've done bids where, especially doing pool bids, people are getting crazy estimates for pools right now just because they're so popular. And one guy said, I had somebody come and said it was 40,000, going to be 40,000. Then when they gave him the estimate, it was 80,000. So I would rather give them the scare up front, and then give them an estimate that actually mimics that scare I gave them. And then they trust you because they feel like you were up front with them all along. But also working with them on a budget and trying to get as much information out of them as you can. So they feel like you're not just trying to get the most out of them, but you're trying to work within the budget that they've set. But one thing I've noticed is it takes me a while to do projects because I work by myself probably on average 2 days a week, and I have help another 2 or 3 days a week. So I have to kind of set the expectation that I'm going to be on the site longer than somebody that has 3 or 4 guys there. But I also talk about my equipment, the investment I've made in it. We're working with a customer, and he used to be in farming and stuff. And he's really impressed by the Ditch Witch. You know, he's like, this thing's amazing. He's like, and you were right, it is expensive. I looked up how much it was, and like he really appreciates, like and one day he came out and said, man, it really takes a lot of tools to do this. Like if you're going to do it right. So it's really nice to have people that appreciate that you've invested in the equipment and the tools to do the job properly, and then they feel like they're getting a quality product. So.
Mm-hmm. And education is something that came up with all three of you in your interviews. And I kind of want to get into that, as well as just starting out in business. And this is like somebody starting fresh, whether they're coming out of high school and they have decided this is something that they want to get into, or it's a career change and this is something they want to get into. What do you guys suggest they start with? What's that like first step in terms of they have no experience, they have no money? What's that first step that you would recommend that they go do in order to take a step forward in making hardscaping, landscaping, outdoor construction part of their career?
I started just working for friends and local people at our church. Started with like small walkways and little projects. I rented all the equipment at the local rental yard. I think I had a Ford Ranger at the time. So I was renting a little flatbed trailer I could pull behind it and putting stuff in the bed and just doing what I could. And
good old Ford Rangers, man, dude.
Yeah, they're good. I've had 3 or 4.
Oh man, I wish I could find a 4-cylinder extra cab. I would have that thing around all the time.
Yeah. So that was how I just got going, and I got the confidence as each project came in and they were satisfied, and then they told their friends, and it just built on itself. And before I even went to college, I was busier than I could be and was able to pay a lot of my tuition with the money I made. Instead of working a minimum wage job, I was, bringing in a couple grand a weekend or whatever, going out and doing a patio or a backyard retaining wall, or like a little accent wall in a front yard that I could do in a day or 2 by myself. And it just gave me that confidence to keep going, and each project would get a little bigger and things would change, but it was basically the same idea. And then I think I even bought one of those Black & Decker How to Landscape and Hardscape books just to go through and see what the processes were and stuff, just that was before all the internet and everything was as big of a deal. You could just Google everything, but just learning from veterans. I worked for a nurseryman that was also a landscaper and learned quite a bit through him and some of his older employees. So I just tried to be a sponge and soak up as much as I could and learn and grow that way. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think honestly the best way to get into the industry is going to work for someone and see if you really even want to do the work. Because I jokingly say I'm going to set up a hardscape boot camp. I'm going to pay people to come learn how to hardscape and lose 20 pounds in a month.
Yeah.
Seriously, all my guys that started with me, the first couple months they were losing 15 to 20 pounds. So to me is you really got to know if your body can even handle it. A lot of the younger generation hasn't even tried to do manual labor. So, you guys, your generation, and I feel like my 28 to 30 is like the last really working generation there is. And, and once you get in the industry, it takes a few years to get where you're at. But if someone hires you as a worker in 1 year, you could learn almost everything you need to know. With my crew, if you worked with me for 1 year running all the machines we now have, buggy, a Ditch Witch, in 1 year, you would know how to install a patio. Even if you had to wing it and go but if again, you have to be a salesman in this industry. You can't just go and start your business. You have to be good talking, communicating with people. If you were going to get into the industry and you want to start your own thing, the main thing is you got to have communication. And that's where, again, we're going back to that communication and being that client, being that salesman, but also backing up your work. And that's where that just takes experience. But you can't learn everything on YouTube College, right, guys? They call it YouTube college for a reason. I mean, you can learn everything you need to do. And I'm not going to lie. I've learned a lot more from Instagram and learning tricks and building stuff a little bit, stronger in support because of Instagram too. And it's great that happens. And now we can show these younger generations that you can actually, I hope eventually, I'd love to see a Hardscape Academy, an actual like college, you know what I mean? A trade, like an actual trade school. It would be really cool. I would invest a lot in that and I would be a part of it if I could, because I think that where our world's going to is manual labor is going to be where stuff's going to be at now. There's not going to be many jobs in the food industry. So we're going to be being America again and building everything here and doing everything here. So that's my opinion though.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Craig, yourself?
I built my first wall 20 years ago and never built one before. So there are, I guess you can do it. It took me a month, I think, to build a small garden wall. But I think that if you have the opportunity, I think it's a good idea to work with somebody or for somebody for a while, and maybe even communicate them the goal that you have. And then maybe they have a larger company and they say, well, instead of you going to do that, why don't we build you into a position that you can be a key employee here or something. And maybe that's a different route they can go. But also I would have them probably look into like, I know that when I was starting, manufacturer and dealer reps were really key for me for helping me start, telling me the materials, how to figure materials, the equipment needed. And they also have a network of people within a region where you could actually, if you had the wherewithal, you could maybe travel to a non-competitive area a couple hours away and work with the crew for a couple of days or something on their recommendation. So there's a lot of different things you can do to kind of get your hands into the industry. Definitely, I think I see guys working on some boot camp type stuff where contractors like ourselves can actually put on hands-on training either at a facility or a job site, and they help support that and sponsor that. So there's more opportunities now than ever to get into the industry. So I think it's there's a lot of windows into it, but you have to understand, like Evan was saying, there's so many things to it. Like I can build all day, but I'm still learning how to run a business. That's the hard part. I think the top two industries that fail are restaurants and construction, because most people are really good cooks or really good, carpenters or operators or whatever, but it's the business part of your mind that really takes that. You really have to learn that. And I feel like I've come a long way, but it's taken over 20 years to do it. So.
Yeah, Craig, though, but you also, I think, if you could bring in that one right-hand man, like where you're at right now, like I have to say my foreman, Brian, he's getting a great pay and he gets commission off our jobs, and we have a communication now so that makes him some of the quality work he's producing right now. Yeah. Dude, this guy my foreman started laying pavers 2 years ago, and he did that driveway. So wow. That's where, but that was hands-on. He's been mowing lawns with me for 7 years. So like I want a 19-year-old coming to me. I want an 18-year-old, and if it takes 3 to 4 years to train him, yeah. And it just means giving him more money that each year, and he's making that more money, to me, that's where it's at. So, you're in a great position too, where you can actually find someone and kind of bring them in. Like you're saying, like you're starting something really, it's going to work out. Like your work's there, your salesman's there. So now it's just a matter of finding that person to work with you. And if you find that one guy, lasso him in and wrangle him up and keep him, because that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing with my foreman. He's getting a new truck in June. That was our next thing. He's going to get a truck to drive because I'm sick of going to get materials every day. So, but yeah, you're in a good position, I feel like, where you can kind of bring someone under and also train them, but have them be a part of your business too. That's what's great about small business too.
And speaking of which, Evan, where did you find your foreman initially?
When we were 14 years old, and we were 16. He had a car, and I could get the ladies for say, and we needed a car, so we became really good friends, and that's how we became best friends. He had a car, and I can get into parties. So that's where. But yeah, we've known each other since we were 14 years old.
Gotcha.
So yeah, we're really close, and he's came a long ways, man. He's a hardworking guy, and he's producing really good work. And he's also training my foreman, my other guys right now. So it's really cool to see him. Like, I'm a horrible teacher. He had to learn with me for 7 years and just watch me. I never taught him anything. He had to watch me, and I had to make him learn. I go, here you go. Here's a hand design. Go do this. He looks at me like, what's going on? But he figured it out. That's how I had to learn too. So, but now he's actually taking the time because we're not in a rush. We're charging the right amount for custom work, and he's able to train now as we go, which is really cool to see my guys. After 1 year, we have an employee, Adrian. He did a do-it-yourself project at his house, and he called me for asking for work. He left a really good paying job to come do manual labor. He's turned out to be a great employee. He was cutting in stairs the other day and cutting in lights, and he's only worked with us for 9 months. So there's no way Brian was going to do that if I was going to train him. So Brian's really helping my business, and now part of his business, because of the commission, grow. And that's where finding that one key employee, like Josh, you have your brother. That's nice. You guys have, you have that someone to lean on to, because, if I need to go and leave, I know my projects are going to continue. Mm-hmm. So that's huge for me.
Definitely. And when it comes to, this is something that I've taken a lot of interest to lately in the podcast, is picking apart people's bonus structure, because I think that's extremely valuable, especially as we move into a market where the labor shortage will just dwindle down further and further. So you need to have structures in place to keep your employees, retain your employees. And I think that commission or bonus structure, whatever you want to call it, is such a key component to that. So to again point to you, Evan, how is that structured in your business? How does that commission work? Is that something that your foreman went out and found that project, brought it to you, or is that meeting certain goals on that project? What is that?
Really, we have a good relationship, and he has, right now, he wanted to kind of leave me actually a couple years ago. And I told him if he wanted to be a part of the business, either buy in or go get the license, because I didn't really want to go any farther with my business, and I was kind of bored. So he actually went and got the license, and this commission now is where he gets commission of going and taking all the tests, doing the yearly stuff. And we're kind of, honestly, I would say he's a 5% business holder, 95, you know what I mean? He's a part of my business, and it makes me feel actually a little bit secure, because I have someone in my business now where I trust, and we have a good communication. The percentage that we agreed on is where we're at. And if it's going to change down the road, we'll have like a year notice, we'll be like, all right, in 1 year, this is going to happen. I'm going to go actually put the whole business in my name. We're getting into excavation more. We bought the name Pride Poolscapes. So that's going to be our new Pride Poolscapes is going to be our name for our pool. So if that happens, then I might just go get the whole license, be like, all right, Brian, we need to renegotiate commission, and we'll go through that part. But right now he's, like I said, the commission, I think though, even if an employee is really well too, at an even low percent, because it makes them thrive harder for better work and produce it faster. Mm-hmm. Because more jobs you do, the more money they make. Yeah. And he gets a pretty much off an hourly wage off each person, and that percentage calculates to be a pretty good, few dollar an hour pay raise a month in the summer times, which helps out those hardscapers living on kind of a 9-month pay, really. Yeah. Because 3 months, luckily we're having a really light winter. So we're actually working all the way through the winter and digging out all my jobs all the way through the winter. It helped out quite a bit too. So,
yeah. Josh, yourself, any strategies to move towards a commission system? Do you have a commission system in place or a bonus structure in place?
This year, near the end of last year, we implemented Profit First, and we're working towards getting a better structure through that system right now. We have our profit account set up, so all that money's going in there, and then we're working on a distribution structure so we can pay a quarterly bonus out of each distribution in that. So it's also going to tie in with more of our job costing, and so we know our profitability. So, but the whole Profit First system's kind of push all that profit into one account now, so we can see where that account is. And we just did a profit distribution this week for the end of the year, and
nice.
We ended up pretty well this season. So right now I just wrote my brother a check, said thanks a lot for your hard work, but I'd like to put a lot more mathematics into it, so that there's some goals to reach, and
people just like that. Some people just know if that check's coming, though. I mean, like, honestly, like,
true.
I mean, if all of a sudden everywhere you've been working for a few years and that check, you're like, okay, we did more jobs this year. Maybe it's going to be a little bit better. So like,
Yeah.
you know, but also, you know, letting them also know each year, like they're going to get something is really nice too. That's, I mean, that's a lot of companies don't get bonuses, man.
Sure.
So
that's what I try to do. Like my brother needed new shocks and struts on his truck, so I surprised him, ordering them the full set. He couldn't afford it, but he put them on himself, and he was super appreciative. He showed me in his own way that he was thankful. We got kind of that brotherly love thing, but he was like, "Oh man, that's pretty cool. I was wondering how I was going to get those," and I just talked to him about it and ordered them online, and just things like that. As we get other people, I have these college guys, I'll write them a check for $500 before they go to college, or just give them some help with transportation or whatever they need to get set up in their new dorm room or whatnot. So I try to look for opportunities to give back to the employees, and just random acts of kindness. Whenever I see somebody struggling, I might put an extra $500 or $1,000 if they're really busting their butts. We've had a few guys that have really taken off. I mean, most of our guys are college guys, so they tend to graduate and go on to their engineering job. But along the way, I just try to look for those opportunities to bless them and help them out as they need. But I'd really like to have a more structured approach for sure.
And is Profit First like that kind of that first step towards that structured? Like, what prompted you to get down into Profit First and to really implement that?
Well, every year we would make a lot of money. You know, I'd have 6 figures sitting in the bank account. So I think I had all kinds of money to spend, and I'd go out and buy a truck or a skid steer or, you know, all these things along the way. And then I'd get to tax season and you'll get hit with a $30,000 bill, or different expenses would come up, and winter would come and I might go 2 months without work, and our overhead's coming out of that one account, and all of a sudden that account's, you know, dwindling down and down. And so I realized there had to be a better way, and I had read Profit First a couple of years ago and never instituted it. And then I signed up with the green executive, Adam Linneman, and he became a Profit First consultant. So we decided to implement this system. So it just kind of breaks all of our bank accounts down into smaller plates, they call it, so that you have your own overhead and your material and subs account, your profit accounts, owners pay taxes. It all has its own account, and then percentages are applied to the income, and you just distribute that out twice a month. And
I got 2021
puts that money into those accounts. So at the end of the year, you know, you should have, if you made $500,000, you could have $130,000 in your profit account to buy the equipment or distribute it back to your employees. So just a solid way. It was pretty easy to implement, and it's to follow, and the calculations are just about idiot proof. I've managed to screw them up a couple of times, but I'm working through it and getting the most we can out of it. It's been great so far, though.
You just made a new 2021 goal for me. Holy cow.
Oh, yeah. You got to do it.
Wow. Like that, that is
Craig's
like,
doing it. Yep.
I know when like, I'm like, okay, cool. I got 30 grand to spend. And like, I mean, I'm sorry, but like, I'll break even every year until the 5th year. This is my 2nd year of owning the business, guys. Technically, I bought all my equipment from my other business that I had for 20 years mowing lawns. So this is my 2nd year of actually running this. So you got 3 to 5 years to not show profit. So I'm fine with it. You know, luckily, you know, my wife makes good money, but I'm fine with kind of like, that's why I went equipment crazy this year. I bought $90,000 in equipment. So that's for me. I'd rather break even and not pay the tax man. That's me though. So, but I definitely, once the business start, obviously this next year in jobs of that, to be able to see that profit rising, not just me to have a number in my head, go, oh, cool, I have some extra money. But I've always been really good with numbers. So I don't know but maybe seeing it will be better for me, or I'll be like, oh God, I'm spending too much. I don't know.
Yes, it's both.
So yeah, I'm nervous. Yeah.
Craig, same question to yourself. And I know you're in that kind of initial process of finding that next guy for your business. But especially with the commission and the bonus structure, do you see yourself implementing that in your future? And do you if you're trying to find that next guy, do you bring that up to him prior to bringing him on as an incentive to say, hey, this is kind of the company that you want to kind of come and work for?
Yes. So when I stopped 5 years ago with my previous business, I was actually looking at ways to do either profit sharing or job bonuses or things like that. And I had a very interesting situation, which I still have, and that is that most of my employees were firefighters, and they would work for me part-time. So it's really hard to track how much time they spent on each job and what they deserved for a bonus compared to somebody else. So I have one, the help that I have now, Byron, he's come back after not working for me for 5 years. I called him up and he's like, sure, I'll come back. So that's been really good. And I went all out and I just gave him a good hourly wage because he's very dependable. I don't know if it's too much. I know kind of what the industry is right now. And I think that for him to feel invested, I wanted to pay him well. And I wanted him to feel like he's getting a good check, even working 3 days a week. But I also gave him a Christmas bonus. And I'm looking at, from coming from corporations, I'm looking at other ways like buying boots, maybe some work pants or clothes, obviously we're working on getting shirts and things like that done, but just different ways because, you ruin your clothes working in this kind of work. So if you give them stuff and then redo that say every 6 months or whatever might work. But I'm definitely looking for when I'm hiring, which is why I want to do slow is because I want to have a program in place, but I'm also still trying to cost jobs to try to figure out what our, with the new equipment and all this, how much time does a job take and what should we expect? How can I give them a bonus on the job? I'm also doing profit first. So maybe it's that profit distribution like Josh was talking about. We get to the end of the quarter and we say, wow, there's this much in the profit account. I'm not going to just distribute that to my family. I'm going to share that with the employees. So we might look at that. But also, I had a great insurance. My wife, we've had health insurance, group health insurance for 5 years that we never really had before. So my wife was like, what are we going to do for insurance? And so I started looking in, everybody knows it's like $1,500. You get a family of 6, So we had a contact and she set my company up as a group. So I actually am able to deduct my tax bill every month. And I can also add, if I find a key employee, I can decide if I pay them a certain wage plus offer them health benefits. If that's something that's important to them, I could pay a big chunk of that health insurance. They can pay part of it, and then maybe their wage is slightly lower than what it would be if I was paying them. So I took that as a great opportunity, not only to have the tax deduction, but offer that to a key employee in the future. Right. So
yeah, man,
I'm trying to have working for the corporate business has really helped me open my eyes to what kind of things are important to people. It's not always money is usually a big thing, but people like bonuses, people like looking forward to bonuses and expecting them and knowing what the expectation is to get there. So I think that has to be clear. I know I did. And then having the benefits that they can, take home to their family and stuff. So be valued.
Yeah, that health benefits, that's a 2022 goal. So that's gotcha. Like I told all my employees, I have a 3-year plan. And that's 2021 or 2022 would be when we hopefully can have enough to get the group rate. But luckily I've had health insurance. My wife has health insurance, full coverage for everybody. So, but a lot of my guys, they're paying a lot for it and most of them have 3 kids. So it's, but also if you give them the bigger, it's like almost it's cheaper to just give them a bigger raise and let them pay for it themselves. But a lot of times they don't go put that money towards health insurance. They just keep it. So that's why I really want to implement it. So then it's kind of, okay, we'll split it. If it's $700 a month, I'll do $350 or $400 and there's your $2 an hour raise, So, but definitely that's a 2022 goal. And that's great to hear that you can implement that to your number one employee when you have that employee, that's great.
Yeah. I kind of fell into it. I was not looking for that.
Yeah.
We found the right person to help us set it up for the business and everything just worked out well.
I think you're set up to have a good 2021.
I hope so.
We'll just keep everybody stuck
or
in there.
It might be a dumpster fire. Who knows?
If everybody's stuck in their homes, man, we're okay. So, yeah. So anyways.
Yeah. And part of employees is not just hiring them, it's retaining them and finding what what their goals are and how you can help them achieve their goals. How do you guys in your businesses help to identify what your employees want and what their goals are, and how do you help them achieve those goals? I know, like, uh profit sharing, commission, bonuses, hourly pay, whatever it might be. I know that has something to do with it, but with these guys that have families and benefits are important to them, how do you guys identify what's important to them and how you can help them, and what moves you need to make moving forward in the future to in your business to help them achieve those goals? Do you guys, pull them aside on a job site, talk to them? Josh, I know this might be a little bit easier of a conversation, being that your brother's in the business, to kind of identify. No, maybe not. But Josh, starting with you, like, how do you do that?
Well, like you said, I just open up a conversation and say, hey, are health insurance benefits important to you? Would you rather have me pay some of this and instead of maybe give you the $2 per hour raise like you were saying? And the answer is usually no. I'd rather just have the bonus or the extra money. Like, it's not important to him. It's important to me, but it's not necessarily important to him. It's important to him to have the money. Well, that's the lifestyle he chooses to have. And him being my brother makes it a little difficult because, it's that touchy area. You have the family history and a different bond, I guess. So it's easier for me to just talk to somebody that's not family or blood related, and I can explain to them the importance of health insurance and the benefits it can offer a family or different other benefits we could provide. But it's I think just being straightforward and sitting down, and even at the beginning, I think just asking what's important. Do you need a higher wage to make your family ends meet, or would you rather have health insurance for your family, or some other kind of benefit that would be better to help them with their budget? And just be upfront and get it out there and kind of let them know what you're willing and able to do, and then see what they're thinking in their minds. Maybe like my brother, he'd rather have the money and maybe not the health insurance, unless I can provide 100% of it, which isn't possible right now. So that's something that weighs heavy on me, because I feel like I'm responsible for him not having health insurance now. So it kind of that's not the case, but in my mind, I feel like I'm responsible for him, which makes it tricky being my brother versus anybody else, because I wouldn't maybe have that level of responsibility if they chose not to. But that's just where I'm at. I think just have that open communication.
Yeah, definitely.
Evan, I assume it's also a little bit difficult, considering that your number one employee is one of your best friends, or your best friend, as you said. How do you bring that up with him? How do you bring it up with other employees to kind of identify what's important to them?
Well, me and Brian, we're pretty upfront. So he'll just plain up say, this is what I need. And whether I can offer it, I'm like, okay, well, if we're doing this, then the percentage goes, we're pretty good. We have good communication right now. Other employees, all my employees have 3 to 4 kids. So I know that money is important to them. So like I said, I started out my employees very well at the wage where they're getting paychecks that can make house payment, make a rent payment and get some groceries. But really, every 6 months, I try to talk to them. I'm probably going to do 2021, do every 4-month review and see where they're at every 4 months. Like, are you happy with who you're working with? How's the crew going? How's this? And right now, everybody I talk to at our year-end talk, I got smiles the whole time. Everybody, when we go to job sites right now, before when I first started, I was a little stressed, man, running 2 crews. I'm not going to lie, this summer it got a little crazy, man. And so to see them now joking at job sites when I show up, like, oh, boss is coming, hide. You know what I mean? Like, get to work. Don't, so it's really, and just having that communication with them I think I'm going to try to do it every 4 months now, but really just talking to them. What do you guys need? One of my employees needed a deposit to move into a house, and it was a pretty big deposit. He was getting a rental house, but he was going to be pretty much not anywhere to live if he couldn't find a house. So I pay for his deposit, and he's working it off at my house slowly but surely on the weekends. So it's, like I said, I'm really close with all of my employees. I feel like we have good communication and offering them whatever they can, and don't over offer either. Don't be like, oh, in a year I'm gonna be like, you're gonna be at their $3 to $5 pay raise, and be like, well, it's gonna be between $1 and $5 depending on how your performance was. Don't give them too much to think like, oh, this is gonna be in 3 years I'm gonna be making $25 an hour. No, it's gonna take you 5 years to get to where we're at. So, and making those goals and open communication, like Josh, it's hard with your brother, I bet you, for sure. I mean, that's probably a tough communication, but with Greg, with you getting new employees, like you said, just be upfront with them. This is who you're trying to have this is where your company is trying to go. And I would love to even do like a little intro video, like, a 15-minute, like sit them down. This is what we did this last year. This is our crew. This is our, unfortunate, I couldn't have a family camp out this summer because of Corona. But like once every summer, I try to do a camp out with all my employees. I think it's a great bonding. I think it's cool to get everybody out to a campsite and cook and do all that and have that kind of see all the families and meet all the families and see the kids grow. My wife works for a company. How long has your dad owned the business?
30 years.
Put her on the spot. 31 years he's owned an electrical business. He started with 1 employee. I think they're up to like 90 employees now. Wow. And he still does, this year he didn't, but they do campouts, they do Christmas, like they do that whole thing. And like one of the campouts, there was like 30 or 40 kids playing games, like, $2 or $3 grand of money was handed out, just for the kids. So I think it's really cool to have those experiences with, like we did a fishing trip this year. I took a bunch of, a few of my vendors, and I invited Western Interlock, my main vendor, and a few other companies. I took my whole guys out fishing. Did a few get sick? It was hilarious, but did we have a fun time? It was great. And so, and I feel like that makes them bond together, like become a brotherhood. Like that's what this whole hardscaper thing is like, I feel like I have 20 or 30 guys I can always talk to now, and even if I had a random question, they'd be like, that was a stupid question, but that's okay. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, really communication with your employees is really good.
And Evan, I'm not offended that you didn't invite me to the fishing trip. It's all right, but
welcome to come to Oregon whenever, man. I want to go to Kansas City too and go watch a Chiefs game, because I would love to be able to go watch a Chiefs game, but I don't know. My Rams don't go there that often.
And over to you, Craig, with the corporate experience. Can we draw on that a little bit about how they, if any, kind of came to you and asked you what are the goals in your life, and what's important to you? Kind of what was that like, and how are you going to use what was learned there to apply that to your business moving forward?
So I have to be careful here. So I went from a family owned that was purchased by publicly traded to then a privately owned company. So I would say the best experiences I had were family owned and privately owned, because I think they actually care more about what your goals are, but they also care less about, their shareholders and all that stuff. So I think that, everybody, the whole purpose of being in business is to make money. So I think where I lose, and I think we talked about this in my podcast interview, is like, I wasn't a great employee always, because I am that entrepreneurial mind, and my mind's always racing, and I'm always thinking of what could be better, or what I could probably do this better or that better, or I could make more money doing this or whatever. So I have, I've tried to rein that in, and working the positions that I worked in those companies, I was kind of on my own as a sales position. So as long as we were doing our thing and filling out our CRMs and, hitting our budgets, or getting close, we were pretty much left alone. But I think that, I think communication is important. I think in some of my positions, I felt like I didn't get enough communication. Like I didn't know what the expectations were. I didn't know. I just was kind of, doing my own thing. And sometimes it was nice, but then if they come to you and say, why aren't you doing this? You're like, well, you didn't tell me to, because there's no communication. So I think communication is super important. Like it's interesting with my dynamic now is having a firefighter is fantastic because there's quite a few days they can work. They have health insurance. They have a steady paycheck. I can say, hey, we can't work for 2 weeks because it's snowing, and they're not going to be without money. But I think it's hard. Sometimes I feel like I don't know if, like, Byron's great because he seems to be invested in what I'm doing, and I try to make him feel like he's invested. I try to give him responsibilities, and we're still teaching each other. I ask him his opinion on a direction we're going on the job site, or how are we going to get this done to get to the end. He seems to be there's that fine line of spending money on equipment and then having your employee go, wow, he must have a ton of money, or if they're realizing, hey, he's doing all this, like, we got a paver lifter, and Byron's like, wow, this is fantastic. Because we're bending over and hurting our backs, and we're older now, and being able to pull full pallets, or take big chunks of concrete out, or just having the equipment available to do that. If you have the right people, they're going to appreciate those kind of things. So I try to communicate the reason I'm buying the equipment, and really it's none of their business, but at the end of the day, the idea is that I'm going to make this purchase because it will make us more efficient and help us get to the next project. So I think that's important. Communication is important in every aspect of the business.
It is their business.
Finding that fine line.
Yeah, it is their business about that equipment, though, because they will realize, like, my foreman, he didn't understand why I was buying all this equipment. Now I will never see him lift a shovel again. He gets that 4K in there, and he used to hand dig the stair steps into the wall and bury 3 block in and dig those hand stair steps, and it would take him 2 hours. You go take that 20-inch Sammy bucket, and you have a stair step dug, and you have 5 courses buried, and your wall's stronger, and it was quicker. So
I don't have an excavator yet, so we had to hand dig a wall the other day.
Oh man, it's okay. Yeah, you got that ditch was 1550 though, lifting those whole pallets, man. That's where it's at.
Oh man, yeah,
those full pallets. I mean, our SK 800, when we switched up that 1550, that was incredible. Like, that was just like a game changer. Like, we had no more. I pretty much took away a labor of moving pavers. We literally, that guy that was moving pavers is now putting in perma edge, is now going and grinding some corners. So, like, we took away, I would say, on a 400 square foot patio, 5 to 7 hours of labor, a whole day, 8 hours almost, of moving, like, unstacking pallets and moving them 2-3 times sometimes. So yeah.
And if I have to leave a job site, and I'm by myself that day, like, nothing's done. Like, there's nobody there doing anything. So I have to be super efficient while I'm there. So I think that's why I've kind of committed to that. Looking for options for installation, because I have back and knee problems from over 20 years of doing manual labor. So
I'll be there in like 10 years.
Yeah.
I'll be that guy.
40's a new game.
Yeah, I know. I'm still 5 years away, guys.
So speaking of equipment, in your business, how do you justify, or how do you choose the next piece of equipment to purchase, and where does that come into play? Or are you guys just comfortable with, what, I think this is the thing we need to purchase next in our business to speed up, to improve efficiency? Is there a calculation you guys do? Is there a thought process to it? Or is it, for example, the next thing that I logically need is an excavator, so let's go ahead and purchase that excavator, in terms of, a Sani, so to speak. Josh, in your business, how did you make that decision? Like, where does that come from in terms of your business?
That came from Evan. I saw him using it. I Googled it and found there was a local dealer, and then I took Craig down there to demo them, and we were like, wow, these are pretty sweet. And the price point was amazing. I think I paid $22,500 for that 4,000 pound excavator with the thumb and 3 buckets. And like, it's been amazing. Like, no more hand digging. A lot of the attachments we had for the Dingo aren't being used. So it's kind of relieving we have the TX 1000. We're still old school, but we use that religiously on every job, but it I mean, my brother and I both gained like 20 pounds because we have all this equipment now, and now our wheelbarrows don't even move. Like it seems like 5 times the work to wheelbarrow something now than it used to. It's just so much effort, but really it just comes down to the efficiency, and you can make the money. You bill for them hourly, so they're making you money. And then I got a 0% interest, which I usually don't love debt, but at 0%.
Free money.
And then I got the early payoff letters, so I can pay it off a little early, no penalties. So it was like a no-brainer. And just the first day we had it on the job, we were like, yeah, this is definitely, I don't say game changer, I say like tactical advantage, because game changer is a little overused in my book, but it's definitely giving us an advantage than what we used to have. We can knock out jobs much faster. It's a lot more fun. It's just really, it just comes down to the efficiency. If I can, own a piece of equipment versus having to go rent it and pay the extra fee when I forget to return it, or the cleaning fee, or all that time spent to go pick it up. Like the excavator, we were renting them 4 or 5 times a month, and I would never use it for the whole time I needed it because I wanted to get it back. I was in a hurry to keep my rental payment down, so I ended up buying it, and now it's just there when we need it on every job. It's a smaller size, so it can literally go on almost every project. We always take them together on the trailer, which saves a trip of hauling. So it's just, like we lost 2 guys this fall. I let them go. They didn't work out for us. And we didn't miss a beat the rest of the fall because we had the equipment. So if we can find 2 more guys that, actually fit within our culture and company, then that'll just, it's a way to multiply your company without having to have the physical labor, and the equipment's always there when we need it and ready to go. So it's, and the Sani, I think, had a 5-year warranty. So it was like, we're covered on all bases now. So I think it's a great little machine. I bought a Kubota 65, a full size skid steer. I was going to buy a 1550 back in the day, but I ended up going the 65 is a small, full size, but it'll still lift like 6,000 pounds. So I just wanted to move those full pallets and still have a smaller track width. But it's been good, but it does sit at our yard quite a bit more than like a 1550, where we would have that on the job every day, making money, and I'd be billing it out every day. So I still try to use it, we're bigger jobs. It's great. We can move a lot of material and it pays for itself then. But if I had it to do over, I might go with like a 1550 or something I could use daily on a job instead of, 4 or 5 times a month. So.
Mm-hmm. Evan, yourself, what prompts you to, you mentioned that, you wanted to lower your tax bill at the end of last season, and you purchased. So what prompts you to do that? And what equipment do you set your eyes on, and how do you decide that's the equipment you're going to purchase?
Well, really this year was, we started a second crew. Once I realized we had a second crew, is you need a second enclosed trailer, you need a second IQ saw. Wait, you need a third IQ saw because one's breaking all the time. So you got to have the backup. You got to have 2 demo saws. You got to have 2 generators. So it was really, for me, it was like, if I was going to do this, this was the time. And I was very lucky to have a great year, and it was the time. And we're booking right now in July of 2021, 2 crews fully booked out. So I'm hoping those 2 pools come in for our last big bang for July and August, and we can bust out a couple pools so they can enjoy a little bit of Oregon sunshine and use the pools. But the equipment wise, I told my guys, if I buy this and I show up and you're using a shovel, I'm going to sell it. So I really made it implement that. Like, you guys have to learn this. So like, my last weekend, I had a bunch of people my son, who's 4 years old, is running a 4K excavator. I think by age 6, he'll be able to actually do some grading and actually understand it. So I made sure that if I was going to buy this equipment, my guys were going to use it. And that's what the hardest part was, to get them comfortable. Be like, it's okay if you hit something. Like, I've hit a corner of this, I've done this. And I don't want them to be nervous if that happens, because then it will happen more. So if it does happen one time, then in their mind, they're like, okay, I'm not going to hit this piece of equipment. But they're using the equipment. And like I said, those 4K, the 4K excavator and that ditch witch, both ditch witches are a killer combo. Our 9K Sandy, it's loading a lot of materials at our shop. I'm really debating moving that 900 pound excavator up to a 14K Sandy. Highly thinking about it, especially if we get a couple pools in the book, then I really need to consider our boulder walls are getting bigger. We're lifting 1,000-pound boulders with that 9K to 1,200 pound and trying to lift them. So I have to do a lot of blade moving, a lot of tearing up the ground. So we're considering getting a bigger one. That one's really loading materials at our shop and probably goes out only once every 2 months to do a dig out and some big boulder placements. Then it's done. That Sandy 4K and any 4K excavator out there right now, I feel like with expandable tracks is the way to go. Is a ditch witch and a 4K excavator. If you have that in a dump trailer or a dump truck, I mean, we can do a 400 square foot patio now in 3 days, cut in, cut out, dug out in 3 days.
Nice.
So that used to take us 10 days and we'd have to rent it. I mean, I remember my rental bill 3 years ago was $42,000 for excavator and skid steers. And everybody's offering 0%, even ditch witches. I mean, even if you give them enough down, I mean, there's all these companies that are offering these great deals because they know the companies that can afford the payment, the work's going to keep coming into the industry right now. So they know they're going to be able to afford it whatever they can because you're taking away a $30,000 laborer per year by owning that Sandy 4K. You do not have to hire another person now to do your job because you have a machine that was $22,000. An employee costs more in workers' comp and the hassle. The employees talk back. They show up late. That machine might start cold like the Sandy does, but it will show up to work every day and it will not let you down. So that's why I love equipment. And plus we're playing with toys.
Definitely. And Craig, yourself, what do you identify next in your business that you're going to purchase? How did you identify it? And yeah, how do you go about that?
Well, it's interesting because I've had this experience before where I kind of knew what machines would work. So, years ago I had a Dingo, I think it was the 525 wide track. So, you had to buy the thing to stand on and, you lifted about, 500 pounds, I think. But then, we had a full size skid steer, a T250 Bobcat. And that was great, for moving. We were doing good size hardscape projects. But so I came into this a few months ago with a list of things I wanted to buy because of the last 5 years of traveling around and just seeing what everybody was using. And I had that advantage of knowing what I had before. So, just buying like reversible compactor, roller compactor, and IQ saw. And so I rented machines for the first probably 3 months, and I was spending a ton of money. I was renting it by the week or by the month already, and I started getting bigger projects. And with the pool thing going, of course I started shopping excavators and stuff, but I think I've decided to rent excavators for this year because I really need to figure out what size is going to be good for both, because I don't think I can go purchase both excavators. So my idea is either to buy a 4,000 pound excavator for my hardscape jobs and for walls and things like that around the pools, and then just rent a big machine for the pool, or hire an excavator to do it for me. Or I need to buy some kind of mid-size excavator that I can haul myself or use on different jobs. So I think I'm going to rent a few of them and just try, because I can usually rent one for a day and then, take it back. But I think I was looking at skid steers. I was looking at the TX1000. I was looking at Kubota's making a new mini skid steer. I was really interested in that. I bounce stuff off Josh all the time because he lives 10 minutes away. I consider you a friend. So we talked quite a bit. He kind of pushed me towards the 1550, and I got a chance to try it. So it just seems to be a good fit for hardscape and backfilling pools. And it's a smaller machine where I can fit into, certain situations that I wouldn't be able to fit a full skid steer, but it almost has the same capabilities. So I think coming up next, I'm looking at different types of suction lifting capabilities for doing slabs and things like that, and probably some kind of excavator for hopefully for this year, or I may just have to sit on what I have for a while.
Gotcha.
So we'll see.
I'd like to
See what happens.
mention, like locally here, we've got a pretty good network of contractors, and if somebody's in need of a roller compactor and I have one, they're always free to call, and if it's available, I'll be happy to loan it to them. We do that a lot, back and forth off of each other. If I need a larger excavator, I can call my friend Kyle, or Craig has a dump truck, or we all have equipment that the other doesn't. And we've kind of created a good working network around the area that we will be more than happy to help out another brother in the hardscape industry. So that's there. When you're going, that's another option for you. You know, you don't have to spend the money. So
exactly.
Craig, you're gonna want that 4K, man. You're gonna have to just rent that big boy. But I mean, even if you get a Kubota 4K or a Bobcat, whatever you go with, like even if it's not Sandy. I mean, Sandy's been a great company for us because as a hardscaper, I mean, so in 4 months we've had that. No, 5 months we put at Sandy. We have 420 hours.
Wow, that's good. You're using it.
Yeah, and our ditch witches both have 400 to 500 hours too. We've had them for less than a year. So my guys are using, that's what I like to see, because I like to see all those service records too on that chalkboard, you know, going down the line, you know, it's cool to see all that happen. And then you look at my big excavator that's sitting, that's gotten service once this year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's and that's where that pool thing is. If you get enough pools, I think a bigger excavator is going to be great for you if you have a few on the books for next year or whatever. But that 4K, I think, for what you're doing, man, and you'll be surprised what those things can dig too. Like, you know, they're pretty efficient, and you've seen them work. I mean, you've been in the industry, so but that's it's hard to do, because I mean, once you have one, you're like, well, I need this big one for this job. And you're like, well. And it's like, oh, you want to give me another one? Okay, sure. Let's do this. Let's do it. And that's when I had that extra little bit of money in my account. Maybe that's where I don't go buy equipment this year. Maybe I want to see a little bit more profit, but really this year I think we're good. I mean, besides that roller, I'm ordering a roller plate compactor. That's the only thing I need to pretty get this year. But we're going to try to make it with equipment we have, and equipment is key though. God, man, it saves your back.
Definitely. And we did mention branding at the beginning of the episode, in terms of, you know, outfitting your guys with shirts that represent the company. Branding is a difficult one, because it's not something that necessarily you can quite measure the ROI on it. It's not like marketing where you put money in to put an ad out and you can measure what's coming in. Branding is a little bit more difficult, especially when you're starting out to invest the money into. But I just want to know, how do you guys, where do you put your money in terms of branding? How do you decide that this money is going to go towards branding, whether that's wrapping your truck, trailer, you know, outfitting your guys with clothing that's going to deteriorate and you're going to have to outfit them again? You know, all these little things that add up to branding your company. How do you guys decide that money is going to go towards that? How much do you decide money is going to go towards that? Is that even really important to you? Just let's talk about branding a little bit here, and starting with Josh. You know, what does branding mean to you guys?
I love having my logo on the trucks, the trailer, getting ready to strip the Sani off and get those logos ordered. Saw that on Evan. It's just cool. Just instead of advertising Sani, as nice as it is, it's nice they see that we own that equipment and that we've invested in the nice equipment to be on the customer's project. So I think that's cool. It's just advertising as people walk around and you're driving down the road and they see a nice rig going down the road, and like kind of is nice to see. All the shirts, I like to get the hoodies, hats, obviously working on that. I just think it's important. Even on like the little gifts you give to a client at the end, if it's like Evan did the custom wine bottles, and the whole brand is cool to see that. And, you know, whether it's just a hat, like you said, a hat or anything small you can leave behind, or a Christmas ornaments, whatever, like there's so many things. Or you might be at a Christmas party and somebody sees that little ornament on the tree and they remember your company, or they have a coaster they set their beer on every time and it's cool looking and their friends see it and it might spark a conversation. It's just, I feel like it's just like ashes around a fire. They could ignite a whole nother fire. You just got to put it out there everywhere. So I just kind of go off of our history, and LMN, we have our budgeting. So each year I allocate probably $5,000 to, it's not a lot, but once you get the trailer wrapped, our guy wrapped our trailer for like $700. It was super cheap. So depending on who you use.
I'm gonna need that number.
Yeah, can I come here? You
Yeah.
would know what I got quoted for mine, man. I got quoted
Crazy.
$7,000 for a 7x14.
Wow. Yeah.
The trailer costs $7,000.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It's hard, and that trailer is at all job sites that usually never gets seen because it's in the nicer homes that are all tucked away, so our sign only gets seen. So it's like,
yeah.
I'm like, but then I saw RC Outdoors trailer, and I was like,
oh,
yeah, that's really cool.
That was really
cool stuff. So
a $5,000 budget. That's what I honestly use besides my like my big costs, like the enclosed trailer. But like that $5,000 number is kind of where I like to be with. And we did a lot of giveaways and stuff this year, so I might have spent a little more. But we were really trying to push the social media thing because, like I said, the social media thing has honestly gotten me where I'm at right now, and being on podcasts and doing good work too, obviously. But yeah, I think $5,000 budgets are really good for our size company. I'm sure. Like my father-in-law company, they don't spend barely any, they don't have shirts, but I love it when I pull up to my job sites and I have all my my excavators are all getting painted black this winter. So my ditch witches, my excavator, and my candy con are getting painted black. So like my big excavator. So I love it going job sites and people go, what the heck? This guy has just got it tagged galore. And in my town, when you see it on a trailer, they know who it is. They go, oh, there goes Pride Hardscape. They wave at you. You know what I mean? Like they see your stuff coming down the road. Like it's called a block take. We take over a block of all of our equipment. That's what we like to do. So
in our area, we have the DOT that likes to people down. So all these contractors think they're going to fly under the radar and not have any logos. I'm like, I'm going to be legit. I got my DOT numbers. I've got everything we need. My brother and I both have our Class A CDLs. We have our physicals, fire extinguishers. The trucks are in good shape. The DOT guy always compliments and says, thanks for doing it right, guys. I always pick you at 4 o'clock because I know you're going to be an easy stop, because he just kind of looks over and lets us go. And we just wave at him now. And we're like, guys are riding around, going out of their way to avoid the frequent stops where they know they're going to be. It's like, just do it right. It's not that hard, really. They have it all spelled out for you. You just do it, and you don't have to be afraid of that, all the regulations. Like, just follow them, stick to it, be professional, and you'll be good. And now we have our trucks logoed, and it's been great. It's just an added perk, like to just do things right and go through the process. And I know we've gotten multiple jobs just from the trucks parked at, we might be at a restaurant on Friday, but it's at a busy intersection and 1,000 cars go by and see our sign. I've had a ton of people call and say, hey, I was stopped behind you at a stoplight and I saw your trailer or whatever. So, you also want to be careful how you're driving and stuff as you have all those logos and brand going down the road, because that's an extension of your brand as well. If you're losing trash and you don't have pallets strapped down or rock flying everywhere and you crack somebody's window, that's probably not going to be a client you're going to get for, a $50,000 project. So you just have to represent the quality that you have within your company and understand that when it's logoed and you're walking through Home Depot and you're cussing and checking out the girl's butt in front of you, those people see you, and that could be a client. So, not that I've ever done that, but I've heard
real talk with Josh Sutton.
So.
And Craig, yourself, branding, what does that mean to you in your business?
Well, I believe it's important, and I'm still working on my budget for what I'm going to do this year. I just got a new truck and an enclosed trailer, so I'm a little worried about what it's going to cost. But I do think I've considered just doing some magnets with, get the DOT and, just the name on it, so people know who we are. We're running legally. I started in the beginning with, a part-time employee with work comp and liability, and I have commercial insurance on my truck and all the, contractor license, and like it's very expensive to do things correctly up front, but once you build that into your overhead, you maintain it. It's so important, and I think that's another thing that sets you apart from for your customers. But if somebody calls and or if they just call you up and you did the bid, and there's, by the way, you have insurance, you can call your insurance agent and just send it to them. It's just that easy. And so I think that as far as branding, I'm working on. I have a great friend of mine that did my logo. He's done logos for me in the past, and we're working on some different things. I love what Evan does with his yard sign. I think that's one of the. That's a thing that sets you apart. Having a nice sign out in the job site that shows that you're there. I'd like to do something like that. I thought about doing something where it's something that says, sorry about the mess. If you want us to make a mess in your yard, give us a call. Because just something clever to get people going, they realize they're making a mess. So we try to, with traffic's coming by, we try to be, polite. We stop our machines and let them pass and wave them on and say thank you. And we're working towards getting, shirts, and I just bought some jackets to get embroidered because it's still cold here. So that's another way I got one for myself and for Byron. So I think that, I'll work towards that, but the equipment was a burden for me. So I need to get stickers on that stuff and personalize all that and make sure that, we have that stuff identified. And so it's going to cost. So I'm trying to prioritize what I think. I'll probably start with shirts and some stuff for the truck and equipment that will kind of just get our brand going. But we're trying to do social media. I forgot I had a website. Somebody called me on my website. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. That's terrible. I need to get to work on that. So yeah, we're trying to get a better image out there as we get going. We've gotten so busy so fast. You have to think about all those things that are still important as people are looking for you, or somebody says, go check out his website, or like we have a Google number, and I get calls on that because people are recommending me, and that's what they see on Facebook. And we use a Google Suite type deal for all our stuff. So it's we're just trying to get, I want the work to speak for itself. First of all, I feel like I'm proving myself all over again, and then making sure the brand follows that, kind of what we're doing with that. So,
all I gotta say is stay away from putting magnets on that new truck.
Yeah,
that will ruin that paint. I learned that lesson on my Dodge. Yeah, I mean, put on the trailer if you want, but those magnets, man, be careful with them on the truck.
It's hard on.
Yeah. But yeah, the Google, you go back to that Google, man. That's where I'm at, man. I talk about all that podcast, but like I said, we have 35 reviews this year, man. We have 250 pictures just on our Google search engine. So every time I finish a project, go back to it, boom, Google. They don't even go to my websites anymore. They literally just click that Google search engine, and there's 200 and some odd pictures, and they just see a variety of, of landscape, of water feature and everything. So it's not just one thing. And all I have to say is our website is actually not up to date to how good our social media is. And that's on my mom, AKA my secretary's checklist. Thank God for her to be there for me, but she's going to be updating our website. So like right now is if they look at our social media, at least it's all connecting together. Like they click Google, the same picture comes up on Instagram, same picture comes up on Facebook, and the same picture comes up on your webpage. So they know that you're updating, and like they want their picture to be on that. They want to be on your Instagram. I've had one customer pick me. We were $4,000 higher, but she goes, I want to be on your stories for Instagram. Okay.
Okay.
Like that's what I'm saying. So like, and we have a small, but we have a small community here too. Like, I mean, I'm only in a town of 60,000 people. So, like I'm not, and all of our around us is pretty small. So we're, the advertising thing is very big for us, and all the companies that are good around here have the same type advertising. Their trucks are all marked, their equipment all marked, and everything like that.
What's interesting about Instagram too is like if you check on who's looking at the stories and stuff, I see people I've done bids for that didn't go with me, and I feel like we're already knocking out some really great projects, and I just kind of wonder, what do they think? Like what did they go with? What did they end up with? Did they do anything? and some we're still talking to. So it's kind of like I think it's important. Like it's a little it's a little nerve wracking because
you're
like,
selling
what
yourself.
can I say? Or you know?
You're selling yourself. I mean, that's what's great about Instagram is like those people follow you. And I had one guy say, hey, I like your rock walls, but I'm thinking about having you do one. And we gave a bid. And then I did a rock wall the next day or whatever. And like, he got to see it. So like, it's like them seeing the process. And like, okay, this is why he is a little bit more expensive. Like he's showing us the extra 5 inches of gravel. So it's really, you're selling yourself to that customer and you don't have to talk to him. So that's what I think, you know, they get to look at you. So I think Instagram, like I said, and you guys, great. I mean, you're doing great. I mean, I've been watching your stories. It's awesome. And like you said, you don't have many. I mean, like I said, I had no followers, and I'm younger, so I'm lucky. My wife's helping me do these giveaways and doing all this stuff now, and that's really helped. But at the same time, is my loyal friends still all watch me. Like all my good friends are watching me, and I don't get to see them that often because of Corona right now. So they feel like they're actually getting to see me and hang out with me, and like, dude, that was a sweet, you know, patio did, or that was crazy with excavator, you know. So it's like I said, the social media, and Mike, you've got to be going great for How to Hardscape. I mean, you keep growing, and I'm sure it's helping your business too.
Yeah, definitely.
So speaking of Instagram and these things that take time out of your day, besides actually putting in work to creating a project. So designing a website, creating a website, getting your Facebook business page, Google, there's so much that goes into creating a business. And not to mention the day-to-day, I mean, I see you guys on Instagram posting stories, and that takes time. That takes time out of the craft, out of putting a project together. So it's something intentional that you guys have to do to, you know, take time out of that craft time, to take time out of your day. And it's more than just the time, the 15 seconds per story. It's putting down that piece of, getting off that piece of equipment and doing a walkthrough, showing your face, speaking in camera. It's more time than it actually looks like when you're, you know, posting that story. What prompted you to start doing these stories, to start an Instagram? You know, where do you see this kind of paying off, and have you seen it paying off in your business so far? Josh, what about you? Because I've seen you probably most active longer term since I've started my How to Hardscape account in this. Have you seen a payoff? What was the decision to do this?
For sure. A couple of years ago, I think I started Instagram with some, you know, personal pictures and things. And then I saw some other companies. Blake Albertson's a big social media, B&B Lawn Care. He's become a good friend of mine. And I was watching him grow, and I was like trying to figure out a way to kind of get out of my shell, because I'm kind of introverted, and people didn't really know me that well. And so I was like, well, we're doing some pretty cool stuff. We've got a lot of equipment. We're taking these ugly yards and making them into awesome spaces. So I realized people would probably want to follow along and see, like, you know, when you're looking at yourself, you're like, it's not that exciting. It's just another day at Black Rock. You know, we're going to go out and put a patio in. But to them, it's like, wow, he's taking the excavator and digging through this and ripping up the irrigation, and looks like a bomb went off. And then to see that process, kind of like watching a surgery or Dr. Pimple Popper, where you're just like, oh, is he going to get it? It's just exciting. So I realized, and then I started posting, and people were just random people. I'd be at the dentist, and the dentist is like, hey man, I really like following you. I love your stories. You're great at this. And I'm like, really? Because I feel like I got a double chin and I'm looking like an idiot and got this squeaky voice. But, you know, I'm my own worst, hardest critic. But lots of people were coming up saying, man, I really love following your stories. I'm learning a lot. And then I get guys from all over the world emailing and, you know, DMing me. How are you doing that? What do you think of this? Or what would you do in this situation? Just randomly throughout the day. And I started to realize, wow, there's something to this. So I started following more people too. Like, I wanted followers, so I started following people that I was interested in. And as I grew that, their followers followed me. And I love sharing, like, your How to Hardscape podcast and Craig's new, his whole deal he's got going on with his time lapse. I love sharing those. And just helping other people out. So just developing that web and the network has been great. And then I've gotten this year, I've really noticed a lot more clients calling saying, hey, I've been following you on Instagram for the last year. Really like you to come bid us on our outdoor project. And some of them are pretty large projects, but they've been following me for the last year, kind of seeing who I am and what I stand for. So you have to kind of be careful what you throw up there. And I've gotten in trouble with some other suppliers because I say, oh, they didn't get my material in time and I'm upset about it or whatever. And they're like, you got to take that down. This makes us look bad. Sorry. Like, a lot of other contractors are following me and they understand what we go through, but it's hard to got to kind of balance what you put out there and make sure you're not, going to get somebody in trouble inadvertently just because you're frustrated but there's a fine line I found. And, but it's just kind of a way for me to get out of my shell to kind of, let people see who I am. And I've always been uncomfortable, like talking on camera. And I filmed kind of like an HGTV DIY show back in Charlotte, and it was horrible. It was a train wreck, but I like just talking to myself in the phone. Like, I don't know, I'll do 4 or 5 different cuts on an Instagram story and be like, well, that was stupid. Or sometimes I'll just throw it up there, but
I raced one yesterday.
And I even watching like Blake Albertson, he'll do 4 or 5 takes and he's like a professional media, like social media guru. And I watch him do it and, oh, that was dumb, or it's just fun. I enjoy it. And I think a lot of people, as the following grows, you realize that you're actually making a difference in people's lives and helping them with their businesses and in their lives. So it's kind of cool. I've had guys talk about going out in the woods and not coming back. It's like, you got to talk them off the ledge. And you're like, dude, no, I'm here for you. If you need me to fly across the country and have a beer or something, I'll do it. Like, I'll be there for anybody. So just those relationships get pretty deep. It's definitely like a brotherhood where you can just reach out and, message someone and get anything you need. So that's kind of what's driven me. I can see the value in it.
Definitely. And Craig, coming from your experience, before when you had a business to now, what was the decision to, pick up Instagram, get on it in this business and to get out there and start your stories? I've seen your stories, piling up lately as well.
Yeah. So it's definitely a comfort zone thing. I actually had people tell me previously that I did really good on Facebook, and before Google kind of, you had to start paying and things like that. If you search landscapers in the Northland of Kansas City, I was one of the first 3 that popped up, and I didn't pay for any of it because we had done things on our website, kind of accidentally. But when they started doing all the algorithms and, charging you and, all this stuff, that, they started wising up to people that were, hitting the right keywords. So this has been a little bit more challenging. I do have, with my music, I started Instagram with that. It's terrible. I'm not very good at promoting myself as much as I am promoting my work. So it's a totally different thing for me. Is like, I like showing my work, and I like showing what we can do and what we can offer. But I find myself uncomfortable promoting myself as a person or trying to talk to people or, on video. I would love to do a lot of different, educational videos. I find it very informative when people do that. I find it very uncomfortable when I try to do it. So it's just getting out of that comfort zone. And I had actually reached out to Josh. I'm like, dude, how are you doing this Instagram thing? Because it's cool, and I just don't feel like, and he's like, you got to get out of your comfort zone. You got to start doing stories. You got to start showing what you're doing. And so I appreciate that. It's still a challenge, and I mostly just show what we're doing, but I think it's important because, in this world of HGTV and DIY, and we'll get your yard done in a day, or, all this stuff they do on TV, and people have these expectations of what a project, what they think a project should take. It actually shows that projects are a process. I mean, we're going to tear up your yard. We're going to bring gravel in. There's, sometimes a week of work before you even see a paper on the ground, or it's not instant gratification for the homeowner. It's a big mess, so it just kind of helps show those things. So I'm trying to find the balance of showing my work, but also pulling from some of my experiences to educate. It's been really cool having people reach out to you and say, hey, how'd you do that? The porcelain job we did recently, I got a lot of questions about the base we did, or what we're using to cut it, or how we drilled it with for the inlights, or what product it was, or so it's interesting to show that stuff, and then kind of get the feedback, and also reach out to others who are doing things that you're interested in doing, and that. So it's great for networking, and it's also great for showing your work. So for potential clients.
Definitely. And Evan, you have done tons of stories from what I've seen from you, and you're showing your face on it, which is really good. And just since I started following you, I forget how it came about that we had you on the podcast, but it was around that time that I started following you, and I seen like all these stories pile up from you. What prompted you to start the stories? When did you start the stories? And has it been paying off in your business?
Yeah, the stories have been huge. I think Instagram wasn't really even going anywhere for me, but for the stories. And then like Josh, I actually, I'm okay with talking in person, but the camera definitely, I was horrible at singing. I never wanted to be up on the stage, any of that stuff. I'm great in person, one-on-one, and getting that communication with you and making you feel like you trust me. But I feel like it's been rewarding. Like I said, I have, every time I give an estimate, that client follows me. So every estimate we give, there's a new follower that next day doesn't even have a profile picture yet, just a person that follows me, and I look at who it is, and it's them. So to me, then, now it's like, okay, you're selling yourself. Like, here we go. Like, this is, let's show them a start to finish project. Let's show them why they're paying the extra money, why they're getting a 5-year warranty. We're putting in 4 inches extra base because you're going to get a 5-year warranty, unlike the other contractors here. So I explain that in my stories. And also, I love watching everybody else's stories. I think my generation is, and younger, is into the stories. You're Craig and Josh, the older generation, I don't think really watches a lot of stories yet, but it's the younger generation that gets into it. And I want the younger generation to know that this is a doable job. Like, you can make money in this industry. And I want them to see hey, look at the equipment we're getting. Look at the bigger jobs we're getting. When you look at my first job on Instagram to where I'm at now, the only reason I have those jobs is because of Instagram. I was looking at everybody else going, holy cow, people are doing this with pavers. Like, Craig, you've been seeing this for a long time. Like, here in Oregon, we keep it mellow. We keep it low key. We're kind of blah, there's not a lot of pizzazz here. But we have a lot of Californians moving here, and they want that inlays. They want the inlight light design. We use Inlight for that job, but Lumion Lighting actually made an inlight for us and a few other contractors. So now he's starting to produce those for us, which is awesome. He was nervous about doing that until we told him we need these lights, and so he's producing them now because he's now seeing the reaction of all these people with Inlight. It's crazy what people are doing with patios now. From when I started when I was 17, mustard K pattern, mustard K pattern, mustard K pattern, Holland, that's what we did. And so we're recently working with Belgard too, which is new to us. Western Lock has been really good to our company, and we really love their product, but they only have a few choices. So having Belgard repertoire now and kind of being able to sell the customer that, and then they also can look at Belgard on Instagram. They can go look at Western Interlock on Instagram, and they can go see, I had a customer go, I want this driveway, and it was someone that made it back east. I'm like, well, hey, they don't make those pavers here, but we can make a close adjustment, and let's not copy them. You know what I mean? Let's make it work. So I think Instagram helps for every reason, and the stories are huge, guys. Josh, you do a great job. I'm always watching you. And Craig, I honestly, for you only doing it for a little bit, I think your stories are great. You're getting to the point, you're telling the customer what you're doing. And if you're having other customers follow you, they're going, dang, we probably should have went with this guy.
Well,
yeah, that's it. And maybe they're like, well, maybe that project didn't go so well. Maybe they have expansion and they do call you back because they are watching you on Instagram now. And those companies that like, there's no other company where I'm at right now that's doing Instagram. All the big companies, all those, they're not even updating their Facebook, their web pages are getting updated, but it's that younger generation that are starting to be able to afford this. So those 30-year-olds that are getting those higher paying jobs and have a new house and they're stuck at home with kids, 32, like, so our clients are actually, we have 30 to 40-year-old range right now clients. We haven't even got into the older client. That driveway was a 55-year-old. So, like we're getting a little bit, and that's where I feel like I should be with these people that are building their second homes and stuff. But, Instagram is huge, guys. Rock it.
And I actually, on our one of our other projects, it took a long time to do it. And our client started following us before we started doing the work. He would send me pictures at night, that he had taken. He's like, "Hey, if you want to post this," because he was watching the whole process on Instagram. So it's kind of become fun, But also, like you're talking about big companies, I have a few big companies that follow me from in the local area and from other parts of the country, because I had kind of started using my Instagram when I was working with Mirage and was going around and taking pictures of projects that I was visiting. And it's funny that they'll watch, they'll see a story and then all of a sudden they're trying to do something, because there's some companies that are really good at it, and or they see the advantage of it. And other companies just don't. Either they're too busy or they don't want to do it, but it's just a good way for people to keep up on what you're doing. So.
But you do have to take time in that day. And I'm not going to lie. I mean, that's some of my takes. I did one that took 6 takes the other day. And every time was like, like I couldn't talk that morning. And all my guys are like, is this Instagram break over with yet? Can we put the equipment back on? So like,
it was 16 degrees the other morning. And I was sniffing through the whole thing. I was like, oh, they're going to think I have the COVID or something.
Yeah. So it's definitely hard to take that time out too. But if you don't, then people are going to start unfollowing you. And like I said, I mean, we promoted a couple of our pictures because I wanted to see what the promotions would do. It got us followers, but it didn't get us local followers. So it's like a catch-22 for me. Like, okay, cool. It's, it's nice to have the more followers, but I was hoping to get a little bit more around here, but we only got about 20 companies that are around here that started following me. So in my eyes, it wasn't beneficial for the local advertisement, more for Instagram, having the 3,000 followers or whatever, I mean, that's kind of, and taking the time is definitely hard. I mean, it's
start getting free stuff though. So that's good.
Yeah, definitely that. An Easy Joint product there, dude, wait for our next giveaway, guys. An Easy Joint. You guys, that's going to be a good one. They're giving away 800 square feet of that material.
Wow.
A whole pallet, and I'm paying for it to be wherever delivered. So that's going to be that product here in Oregon is great because we get a lot of rain. Like right now, we're supposed to get 4 to 8 inches of rain in 3 days. So
nice.
Yeah.
We did get one question from Instagram here. I posted it just as the interview started, so I was a little bit late on that, but from Native Habitat Landscapes, he wants to know everybody's warranties that they give on the work. And I'll add to that, why do you give that warranty? Is it a value add to the customer? What is the length in terms of years of the warranty that you give? And Evan, you've already started this conversation earlier in the interview. So your warranty and why?
So we offer 2 warranties. We offer a 5-year warranty that recently started this past year because we're building stuff, but we offer a 5-year warranty if a structural warranty. So we offer a 5-year structural. So we're not going to offer moss growing, like cleaning, normal wear and tear, like if you're not doing your process of it. So we explain to them in a warranty what that entails. Like you guys need to, if you want the seal to keep happening, this needs to happen. So we offer a 5-year structural, and then we also offer a lifetime warranty, which the lifetime warranty, we just go up $10 a square foot on the install and install 15 inches of base instead of 10 inches. So we just go a little bit more dramatic, and we give a lifetime warranty, and that lifetime entails pressure washing every year and sealing every 2 to 3 years.
Wow.
So, we're getting up to $65, $55 sometimes a square foot for pavers. And that lifetime warranty. But is it, because there's a systems pavers, I believe they're called system pavers. They offer that around here. So that's already been in my area for a while in California, the lifetime warranty, and that's been at like 45 to 55 a square foot for a few years now. So that company has already been sending flyers out. They see all the flyers and they just go hire local contractors to install it. They don't even install it. So, us being able to provide that driveway customer took the lifetime warranty. He's never going to touch his driveway again for as long as he lives.
Interesting.
So, which is great. I mean, it was a great job and it turned out great. And that, having our sign out there, he said he hasn't even parked on the driveway yet, guys. He's afraid to.
Really?
He hasn't pulled on the driveway yet. I pulled the second week, the asphalt done, I pulled up right on my truck. I was the first one to pull on it.
Nice.
I pulled up right on it. But yeah, he hasn't even drove on it. He likes the driveway so much. So like, it's pretty cool to have a customer like he goes, I want to see the lights all the time. So, but yeah, that lifetime warranty in that 5-year, I've only had one person buy the lifetime, but I think more people will when they're building their final home. Like for them never to have to think about touching their 600, 800 square foot patio again in their life, and you're 45 years old, I would do it. I mean, if someone sold me on a lifetime warranty for a truck, I'd do it as well.
Yeah, I've been trying to think about that lifetime warranty in my business and what that would look like, or at least some sort of maintenance package. I've thought it more so as a recurring charge, but like a low recurring charge. It's kind of been something that's been bugging me in my head. But to hear your thought on it, to charge that extra $10 a square foot is interesting too. That upfront charge.
I mean, if you think at 800 square feet, $10 square feet, and then you think about how long it is to maintain, and most people are probably going to sell their home, honestly.
So do you say it's a limited lifetime warranty?
Yeah, so it's like for the owner of the house. Yeah, so whoever owns the house, it's not transferable. For sure, not transferable. So but I think, God, I forget the other company that I learned that from on Instagram. I have to think about it while I'm gone, but they offer it too. And it's worked out great for him. He's got his business expanded. Like he has a whole just maintenance cleanup crew now. All they do is every year they have an enclosed trailer and they go do their maintenance. And every time he goes back there, the customer wants more. So he's going back to cleaning it and they go, hey, how about let's do a little bit more extension on this way? You guys, every year they get to see your company again.
Yeah.
And you're not charging them because you already charged them.
Yes. So I'm plenty already charged them. Yeah.
That's interesting. Josh, yourself, your warranty on your work and why?
Hardscape, we just offer a 3-year warranty against settling and construction issues. Nothing is covered for acts of God or vandalism. We will stand behind our work for life, though, if it's the original owner. If somebody calls and says 5 years, hey, we have a gap opening up in the soldier course, or who knows what. I've had random pavers just crack after a few years just from the manufacturing, and usually Belgard or Unilock will stand behind that for us. Or if there's a sealing issue, they'll usually pay the cost to have us reseal it. Or I think a lot of that I feel confident in providing because we have good manufacturing support now. Like I've installed a Belgard patio that had a ton of efflorescence and some scuffed pavers, and I called our rep and said, hey, these look horrible. I don't want to put them down, but we've already put 100 square feet down or whatever. And he said, I'll pay you guys to pull it up, put the new stuff down, and I'll rush ship you the new material with the true color or whatever that day. And he was willing to cover it. He's like, send me a bill. So having the manufacturing support, I think, is huge too. Most of those have a lifetime warranty on their products, but really it's just the warm and fuzzy feeling on the contract, just to know they're covered. I'm not just going to leave them high and dry. I think there are other legal obligations you have for longer in the US, but as far as our written contract, it's 3 years on hardscape, 1 year on plant material, but we have a lot of, with landscaping and new construction, we have to kind of spell it out and make sure the care was given. And we usually offer it's called micro warranty. It's mycorrhizal fungi. We rub on the roots, and you can buy that extra, but I make it clear that that's going to cost extra if they want to pay for that. So we cover our cost on that as well. And labor is never warranted. It's always billed separate. We'll replace the plant, but the labor to deliver and plant will be an extra fee, because we were losing a lot of money on replacing plants.
That's why I stopped.
Yeah.
Stop plants, man. I can't believe that's one thing I got out. I couldn't. I mean, even if you did the perfect thing for a plant, like premium 16 inches of soil, everything great, one of them just dies.
Yeah, we had a doctor that we planted an 8-foot spruce tree. I said, well, it looks like it wasn't watered. No, I watered it every day. I dumped a 12-ounce bottle on it when I got home from work. I'm like, it's an 8-foot tree and you're dumping a 12-ounce bottle of water on it. Like, I can't warranty this. And you get into that whole argument back and forth. And so we've kind of developed care instructions, laid it all out, and they sign off on it that what our expectations are. Again, it's just communication up front. Like, well, no, the plant's not warranted for life. We'll replace it one time if the proper care was given. And sometimes that gets to be an argument where you just have to, chalk it up as a loss and say, well, we'll replace it this time. I'm not going to get into the argument and ruin a long-term relationship with you over $100 plant or something. But that's basically, our irrigation systems are just 1 year because it's plastic parts that they may or may not winterize or different things, but it's guaranteed to function correctly for 1 year. But we don't really have a lot of issues with our irrigation systems. But hardscape's definitely, I used to do 5-year, but then I was like, well, that's a long time. A lot of people move and come and go in that time nowadays. So we just did simple 3, but definitely we'll stand behind our work. That's just the integrity that we have when we build with someone. So, and
over to you, Craig, your warranty and why?
Well, in the past, I've done 1 year, I've done 2 year, I've done 5 year. I don't know where nobody's even asked me for a warranty so far, and I'm still building. I'm still working with an attorney on contracts and all these things that I'm trying to get in place to make sure that I'm covered. And I think the warranty will be definitely looked at by her. But I kind of used my warranty that I had in the past, which was 3 years. But we, similar to Josh, we had a customer that she just called me out of the blue and said, "Hey, a couple of the pavers have settled around. We did just added a small area to the pool, and her husband's been going out there and power washing their patio and blew all the sand out. And then the bedding sand started washing underneath the concrete that was next to the pool, and then the paver settled. So it wasn't really our fault. But she had called it to get the name and color of the paver because she was going to have somebody fix it, and a couple of pavers had cracked. So I was like, "Hey, I'm back in it. Let me come look at it. I'd be happy to take care of it for you," because she was a great customer. And so what I did was I went and looked at it. I said, "Hey, I'll reset the pavers at no charge, but I think we're ready to resand because of the damage that was done, and we should probably seal it to kind of bring the color back." So I turned it into a sale at the same time. But I think it's just a matter of standing behind your work, and something I was not at all obligated to do. It'd been 5 or 6 years since I had completed the project. But I think that people, most of the projects I'm doing, like everything I've gotten so far is all referrals. So I think people are less worried about your longevity or if they can trust you, or they'll come back and fix it. And then as they see the process of what you're doing to put it in, I think that helps with their comfortability of knowing that the project is going to last. So 3 years is what I do, but I'm the same way. If somebody calls me in 5 years and says, "Hey, we're moving and this paver shifted or something," I don't worry about it enough to not go do it. So.
Definitely. And I've got a few more questions here for you guys, but to kind of get through a couple of these really quick, let's do kind of a shorter answer, because the last one we'll get into will be a bit of a longer one. So first one, debt or no debt? What's your stance on this? Debt or no debt, and why? Really quick, Evan, we'll start you off with you.
Well, I can say we bought a lot of equipment this year, but I have a little bit of debt, but I feel like with us being booked out through this summer, I'm going to be paid out of debt. And I think if anybody has any debt, that this is our last year to have a big banger. And in 2022, we're going to crash. So get your debt paid off for 2022 is what I say. But yes, don't go in too much debt for your business for sure. I definitely have a little bit right now, but I'm trying to keep that on the low end for 2021 for sure. But we needed the equipment to kind of keep going with the momentum we've been doing. So, nice. But try to pay everything, at least 75% of everything is what I say.
Craig, yourself, debt, no debt, why?
So I only do debt on equipment. I try not to get in trouble with vendors or have to use line of credits to pay employees. And with the profit first system, they teach you not to have debt and the rent, all this stuff. So it's very difficult to kind of balance it. But, as I started growing really fast, it was important for me to have equipment. So I have a great relationship with my bank, and they set up stuff for me earlier than most businesses would be able to do debt. So I did do debt on equipment and truck, but as far as day to day and materials and all that stuff, I keep that stuff paid and keep my employees paid. So I think that's important, and I'm going to try to pay it off as quick as I can. So,
And Josh, over to you. Debt, no debt, why?
Personally, we do no debt except for our house we're paying off. Business wise, I have some managed debt. I like to put a lot down so I can keep the payment low, and then as I chunk away at it, I can pay them down quicker. I don't like to keep them around too long. We've always everything's financed at 0%. That's the only way I would finance anything. But I definitely don't love having the debt hanging around. I'm actively paying it off quickly through the profit first system, because they just do the snowball, the lowest amount to the highest. So if you owe $6,000 on a mower, pay that off, and then the next and the next. So we're working through that. We've only got a couple pieces to pay off, but yeah, definitely with Evan, I think this year might be our last year of. It was nerve wracking, in March when things shut down. Like I just don't want to have to worry about it. I just want to know I own all the equipment, and if things go south, we'll be able to make it. So always keep it within a range where I could just, I've got enough in savings where I could chunk at it if I wanted, but I do like to have that cash flow and cash in the bank for when things go south. You have a little cushion. So
Definitely. And this one might not be a short response, because I want to get into talking about family and being a business owner. And all three of you have kids. All three of you have a family. So I know that must be difficult. So my question to you is, how do you manage it? Do you set boundaries in place where you say, the weekend I'm not going to work, or the one day on the weekend I'm not going to work, we're going to spend time as a family? Do you have a time in the weekday where you shut off business and it's family time? How do you manage that how do you manage a business and family? Josh, do you have certain rules in your household for your business? How does that work?
yeah, my wife keeps me regulated in that very well. She has a full-time job teaching at a dental school, but it's a little different because, I have this baby I've created called Sutton Outdoor, and it needs my attention, and I'm a workaholic. So I definitely have to put some time limits and restrictions. I generally try to wake up earlier than the kids and family and do a lot of work, before 7 a.m. So 5:30 to 7 usually. And then it's kid time, get them breakfast and get them out the door on the bus, and, give my wife a kiss and a hug. And then I generally try to get home by 5:30, 6. Like that's the latest. My wife generally cooks dinner. She wants me home, focused on the kids, not on Instagram. I get in trouble a lot for that. It's like, these are my boys. I got to catch up with them and all these DMs. And she's like, you need to do that when, your kids and family aren't here waiting for you. And that always is like a sucker punch in the gut. I'm like, you're right. This dang phone. Like, I want to throw it out the window some days because it's definitely a bad habit. I just have to lock it up, shut it down. I created a Be Present box that has a lock on it that we put our phones in, that we're going to try to get better at using. So we just put the phones in there, and they're out of sight, out of mind. Just turn them off. But that's the biggest time suck from my family is the darn phone. I'm either getting texts or messages or emails. It just feels like it never ends. So, and then usually my wife and I will we've got to get better, because I was, putting the kids to bed. We both have work to do. And then I'd come down to the office and, work from 9 to midnight or whatever on estimates and designs, which I've tried to start, subbing out the design work to a local girl here, and just try to get the estimates done as quickly as I can through LMN now. So I'm not spending hours of, time on those, just speeding up that process. but my kids know that they're my number one priority, and my wife. Like, we have to intentionally schedule vacations, camping trips, things like that, or it just won't happen. We're both busy people. So she's made it clear, like, she'd rather have my time than the money from the business. So, like, she'd rather have, quality time is worth way more money than whatever profit I'm going to bring in. So that's hard for me to swallow sometimes, because I've been putting so much blood, sweat, and tears and energy into growing Sutton Outdoor and supporting my brother, and trying to make the money we need to reach our family goals. So it's hard, definitely hard thing to juggle. And we've had some close friends we were able to open up and share our stories with, and kind of get advice and counsel from. We go to church too, so we're involved in some other groups that we're able to kind of share our struggles with, so we're not just imploding inside with all this tension we've created for ourselves sometimes. But it's definitely something you have to be open and talk to. Like, my wife, like, she's like, sometimes I feel like I'm competing with your phone, or I've always got a meeting to run to, or like, you're putting Craig ahead of us because he came over to dump, and then he talked business for 30 minutes or whatever. It's like, sorry, like, it was exciting, and it happens, but you definitely got to keep it in check. My parents were divorced because my dad was a workaholic and always spent time in the shop, and never came in to hang out with us, and never told us he loved us that much. And so I make sure I tell my kids every second I think of it as, like, I love you guys. You're my number one priority. Sometimes it feels like you have seasons where you have to work harder. Like this right now, I'm trying to get my budget set for this year, and kind of have all these plans and goals everybody tells you need to have. And I'm working on that, but I feel the tension that I need to be upstairs with my kids, relaxing and creating those memories and being a dad to them. But I've asked them before, I'm like, what do you think is most important? They say God and family. My son told me that. So I was like, okay, as long as we can keep that in check, we're in good shape. So
nice.
You definitely have to make a conscious effort, though, to keep the priorities in line, or your business can definitely take over, and life can go down the tubes real quick. You can have a real successful business and a horrible family life, and that's not fun. So definitely. I want to leave a legacy that we had a good business, but we also, I was a fantastic dad and husband as well. So.
Craig, this kind of came up in our conversation, and we talked about the decision that you made with your family to start your business. So what about boundaries now, especially when you're starting out? It's such a go, time consuming thing to launch and to stabilize your business. So what is that like right now in your life, in family life?
Well, coming from a job where I traveled 4 to 5 days a week, I'm home now more than I was, but it's definitely a challenge to be available when you're trying to grow a business and do a lot of the work. So, we had some weather coming in, and I, over Christmas, and I took off Christmas Eve and Christmas, and then I worked, Saturday and Sunday, just trying to get some things done so we can get jobs done, because we're relying on, the income at this point. So it's a challenge. One thing that we do is we eat dinner at the table every night, and that's non-negotiable. We don't sit in the living room with TVs on. I mean, we sit and how was school today, kids? And that's really something I didn't always grow up doing. We kind of got busy or whatever. So that's been a huge thing that we've implemented from beginning. And like everybody knows, when dinner's ready, we get at the table, and there's no phones, no electronics. We kind of shut everything down. So it is challenging because I spend the evenings catching up on things because I'm on site all day. I think we all have small businesses. We're all working in the field, and we're all doing the same things at night, and trying to do estimates, and trying to year-end stuff like Josh was saying, and year beginning stuff, and just trying to figure out where the heck I am and what I'm doing. So getting jobs ready, finishing jobs, and you have to do that stuff. I try to, when the days that I have help, I try to spend a little bit of time in the truck, or I'll leave for a little bit and go do a meeting or something where I can try to balance that. But our kids play sports. I try to take them to practice. Tell my wife we have an interesting dynamic with twins that are almost 12 and boys and a daughter that's 10, and now we have a 16-month-old. So it's a whole different, we were kind of skating by, and now we have this whole different dynamic. But it's been a blast, and it keeps us busy as a family and as a business owner. So the balance is definitely tough, I think, for anybody that owns a business. But making those priorities and having those things that are non-negotiables, I think, is super important. So.
Mm-hmm. And Evan, same question to yourself.
Yeah, luckily, it's been, my wife kind of gave me the free range this past couple of years to build my business, honestly. So right now my kids come with me to work on Monday for my bids. They're at that age now where they're 4 and 8. And then when I work on the weekends on shop days, the kids are in the shop with the heater and they're hanging out with dad because my wife Kaylee gave me a free range of 7 days a week if I want. So right now I am 35 years old and I expect to do it for about another year or two, and then hopefully it will slow down and then that kind of more quality family time will happen. But we take camping trips. We do the family dinner, Craig. That's definitely, we do that 3 days a week. We can't do it every night because sometimes I work from 4 to 9, 4 in the morning till 9 at night. I'm working 13 to 14 hours. I go give bids every Monday and Friday. We have 5 to 7 bids every Monday and Friday. And I'm always doing designs at night, which I'm still I don't even have a design program yet. I'm still hand sketching. I still haven't, gotten that. My daughter, I got an app for a design program. My daughter honestly looked at my picture and almost identically put that into her app. So my daughter, 8 years old, I feel like in a couple of years, she could be actually possibly designing because she knows how to work those tablets and she knows how to do it. So I'm hoping just getting them involved, having my son there, excavation, whenever I'm at the shop, because there's shop days now where I service for 8 hours. I don't have my guys usually come in. I go service I do all my own everything. I'm that guy. I'm in there at 4 o'clock in the morning. I load all my guys up. When they show up, they're pulling out. Their trucks are filled, their equipment's filled, their trailers are ready, they're out, they're gone. So I'm very lucky right now, and I think I need to work on that a little bit more this year for sure. I didn't see my family too much last year, but we'll work on it for sure. Hearing you guys talk about it and being a little older than me, made me start thinking about some things, and kids grow up quick and the world is getting crazy. Yeah. So you never know when the last day you're going to have with them is. So saying I love you too as much as you can, I say it. And what's the most important thing is family. And so as long as they know that, I feel like, my dad, I went to work with him all the time. So if they can do that with me and I'm able to do that, then I feel pretty privileged. So
your daughter is a designer, and I've seen your son operating equipment already. So
yeah, I'm definitely pushing that operation. I mean, I don't want to pay any college tuition. I'll tell you that. I want them to be a designer and go into this. And I think they like it. They like being outside. We have a few acres at our house. Josh, I know you got property. And so being able to go out on the 4-wheeler, go and do that kind of stuff. Last Sunday we had a bunch of people over for a shop day. We had, there's a 65-year-old lady running the excavator. It was hilarious. It was great seeing like my mom's friend on the excavator taking pictures and joking around, even with the masks on. It's hard to get that, and like having that connection with people now, it's really hard. And I think as much as you guys, with the corona going on, like our schools are still shut down here, so our kids are still homeschooled. So my wife does all that, luckily.
Wow. Guys, in coming off that question, thank you for taking the time out of your days, away from the family, away from the business, and to sit down here for a couple hours, more than 2 hours now that we've been together. I do appreciate it. I know the audience enjoys hearing these roundtables and everybody's differing opinions on different things or where they agree. It's been great. I do have one last question for all of you, and that is struggles in your business. What is that thing right now that you are struggling with in your business? And if Evan, we can start with you on this. What is that struggle that you're experiencing right now in your business?
Not enough time in the office. I think I hear that from my mom every day. I need you in the office once a week. I need this. And I'm just so eager about getting my goal by February was to be booked for 2021 all the way through December. So my goal right now is, once maybe, but I'm probably going to have to I'm behind on my end of year stuff. I need to be in the office more. So that's my biggest struggle right now. Luckily, we have good employees. People are actually contacting us to come work for us because they find us on social media and they think that we're exciting. And I'm actually getting people asking for jobs that are experienced to come work for us, which is really cool. But yeah, the biggest thing is for me is I need to get in the office more, for sure.
Over to you, Josh. Struggle at Sutton Outdoor there.
Like most, it's finding the good people we can grow with and keep up with the volume. We're beyond our capacity, so we have way more work. Somehow we manage to get it done with what we do, but it's not a relaxing time to do it by any means. I think it could be handled a lot better if we had a couple more crews, and then also financing the trucks and coming up with the money to keep the debt load low, but still be able to add, $100,000 worth of equipment to make sure that crew can be productive as well is something I'm wrestling with right now. So hoping that, again, instituting this profit first will give us those funds we need, and I can be diligent in saving that money, but just creating systems to hire good people and not just, getting a phone call and having them jump in the truck and having it be a train wreck is something I want to work towards this year, and have a good hiring process to get solid people in that want to make a career out of it, or at least give us several years instead of months, and just work through that and work through all the great projects we have scheduled this year.
Definitely. Craig, yourself, struggles at your business there?
I would just say, time, and where to put the time, I guess. So, luckily this camera's pointed back at me, and well, I don't know if that's working for anybody, but and not pointed at my desk, because my desk is full of stuff I'm working on getting through, and the paperwork and the receipts, and trying to get everything ready because I know it's going to be tax season anytime, and but also trying to keep the jobs going, and so I think how to balance the time of office and field, and putting in some systems in place that I can hopefully be a little bit more efficient with my time, because like with the family, I feel like I'm sometimes I'll take my computer up to the living room and I'll try to work while I'm with the family. That's not great quality time, but I feel bad sometimes coming down to my office is in a basement, nice little quiet spot, but I just feel separated from everybody. And so it's there's the challenges are balancing the family and the business, and balancing the time within the business to get all the things done that are needing to be done, calling people back, communicating, planning stuff. So it's the time balance is
Definitely.
definitely.
Guys, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to do this. I really do appreciate it. I'm going to hand it off to the three of you one at a time here. Let the audience know, any closing things that you want to tell them, any parting wisdom, guidance, or just a hello, whatever you want to leave them with, and where they can find you, wherever you want to direct them to, just let them know. Josh, we'll start with you.
I would say in 2021, just be generous with your time and your resources, and help anybody you can. Try to encourage people each day, and be a light to the world. It's pretty dark right now, so just anybody needs anything, give it to them. Like, that's my motto. I want to leave this place better than I found it. So I just encourage people to be generous with all their resources they have. Help their brother out if they need it. Help their family out and be there for them. So I'm on Instagram at Sutton Outdoor LLC, and then Facebook, it's the same, Sutton Outdoor, and then my website's suttonoutdoor.com, and they can DM me anytime, and if my wife allows, I will respond. So
Evan, over to you.
Yeah, I just want everybody to be positive this year, guys, and let's work and get it. Like, let's make 2021 better than 2020. And you can find me at Pride Hardscape on Instagram and on Facebook. And our webpage is pridehardscape.com. And Michael, it's been fun.
It has. And over to you, Craig.
Well, I would say it's been fun as a I don't know if I consider myself a seasoned veteran, but I've been in this industry a long time. It's been fun listening to these podcasts. And I'd say if you're somebody new, you don't have to have a big business. I mean, all the guys you were talking to last time, I mean, that was really interesting to hear how big businesses are operating, and they're putting CEOs in place and GMs and project managers. And I've been parts of companies like that and talked to owners of companies like that. And I've heard things. I worked for a large company, and the owner, after I started my business years ago, said I ran into him at the gas station. He said, if I could give you one piece of advice, it would be to stay small. And he had a pretty successful long-term company. And I think that so just don't try to get all ramped up in how big you need to get or the equipment you need to get or all that. Just put in the work. Just realize that it's hard work. It's going to take time to build it up, and it takes experience. And don't get hung up on hiring and all that stuff. But if you really want to make a successful hardscape business or landscape business, you got to put in the work. And I think the three of us are a good example of just, I mean, we're out there busting it. I mean, we're part of the crews, we're part of the everyday business that's going on, projects, sales, we're very into it. So I just say that you have to be committed to put in the time and the work to be into all that, but it is possible. And it's possible to make a decent living as a small business. So you can find me on Instagram if you want to. Scheller Outdoor Living on Instagram and Facebook. And I do have a YouTube channel. I'm trying to get some people watching that because I'm going to try to do some educational stuff on there as well. But I'm doing most of my time lapses are going there just to direct people that way. And I'd like to edit videos kind of as a side deal. And then website, I would not go to my website, but it's SchellerOutdoorLiving.com, and I'll try to get that updated. So thank you very much, Mike, and everybody else. This has been a blast.
And also at Craig Scheller Music, as we mentioned at the beginning of the podcast.
Don't forget that. I'm looking that up right now. I'm looking that up.
Oh, you got it.
And as we close this out, guys, thank you for listening to today's podcast episode. Go follow these guys, show them some support, show them some love for taking the time to join us here on the podcast. Thank you so much. Visit howtohardscape.com for more information. Subscribe to us, like us, whatever you're doing, wherever you're listening to this. Yeah, we really appreciate your guys' time for joining us. And thank you so much. We look forward to meeting with you next week on the How to Hardscape podcast.